I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Here.
Here.
Here. Here. Yep. Here. You have the agenda in front of you. Don't think there's any changes that need to be made to it. There will be some topics of conversation.
Rachel said
There is. Huh? Oh, the payables, yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you said it all. You didn't. Okay. Under payables, there's $6,341.75. Should be $13,479.15. And the total approved should be $67,017.95. So,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Support.
then moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. And a motion to approve the minutes for April 10th meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. I'll support.
Then moved and supported that we approve the minutes of the last meeting in April. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's carried. Public comment, there's a few in here, I see.
I'll start.
You can start.
Chamber, we moved the car show back to June 8th instead of 15th. It was conflicting with the Ellsworth Pig Roast, which was causing some issues. So I notified you, Larry, notified Scott, and just tonight. Telling you now. We still have the M88 outdoor market on the 15th. Chamber cabin, I'm hoping to open it for the first time Memorial Day weekend, so I'll be getting, there are some brochures in there already, but I'm collecting some brochures from other businesses, so I had Lyle and Rob come out and take a look at it. We have identified some repairs that it needs, so I will be working on that, but currently it is still structural enough that I can open it for, allow people to come and get brochures. The auction is this weekend, so if you forgot, come on out. We've got some great items that have been donated and will be a good time.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you. Deanna, did you want to say?
I'm happy to talk now or under, whenever you want me to speak.
Okay, we'll wait.
Okay. Thank you.
Matt?
No.
Wayne, did you have something?
Yeah, I'll be brief. Some or all of you may be aware, but on June 19th, coming up next month, the school is going to be having an active shooter drill. I've been working with the school and law enforcement, the sheriff's department since fall planning this. So just wanted you to be aware that it's going to be a great multi-casualty incident drill for us and all those involved for fire, EMS, law. We are going to close off the school grounds during the drills. There's going to be one in the morning starting about 9 o'clock, and then there'll be another one starting up about 1 or 1:30. So if any of you want to come up and, watch, there are going to be areas where people can be spectators and come up and see what all this involves, but it's going to be an excellent drill for all those involved.
What day of the week is that?
It'll be a Wednesday, June 19th, Wednesday.
What time?
9 o'clock, there'll be two exercises. The first one's at 9, and the second one's gonna be around 1:30.
Lenore was here last meeting and told us about it.
Okay,
I was gonna mention it again tonight.
okay. Yeah, I didn't know if anybody had any further questions. Like I said, I've been in the
Yeah.
planning stage.
Anybody have any
but
questions?
So it'd be great for anyone to come up and watch and see what, it's gonna be a great learning experience for all those involved. Thank you.
Very good. Jennifer will hold off on you.
Especially when you get to the last.
Police report, Scott?
Thank you. Hopefully everybody got a chance to look at the report. We're picking up full steam here. I was looking at kind of the stats, the numbers, and probably one of the busiest months in a long time, so. Kind of in a nutshell, hit the highlights at the bottom. We hosted the Chiefs meeting, we do that once a year. Everybody takes a turn, it was our turn in the barrel. Had some training, which was kind of on the lines of, I don't know if I had to go with something. On the lines of the active shooter, we did some training in Bel Air with school responses and stuff like that. So it was kind of a good training session before we actually had to do the full dress rehearsal for June, which was really nice. Lacey, Officer McLean, is kind of up and running. She's on her own now. I shadowed her a little bit last couple of weeks and kind of got her. She's hit the floor running really well. So one of the things she did just a couple of weeks ago is we kind of sent out a big chunk of ordinance issues, which we kind of do typically, in the spring, sometime in the later summer, fall, stuff like that. So we've been getting a lot of responses back, I'll say that. Some of them positive, some of them not too positive. But it's addressing the problems, and I think even the people that are upset kind of understand the reasoning why and stuff like that. So nothing that we can't handle. And that's kind of about it.
Any questions for Scott? Sam, you're up.
Thank you.
The biggest thing on there is number 1 and number 2. I know a few years ago, you guys voted not to put chlorine in the water. Well, the 2A well, which is the well at the softball field, which is 99% of the water that's in our water system. The well itself, come back, help me out here, Jennifer or Matt, either one, positive for coliform iron. Is that the proper way to say it?
Yes, sir.
So we're adding chlorine, we chlorinated the well, we took water samples, we flushed everything out. In the safeguard, we started putting chlorine back into the system. Right now, we're keeping a residual of roughly 0.3 parts per million. Now, if you guys opt to tell me to take the chlorine back out of the system, we could end up right back with bad water samples coming right back at the shop. That's what triggered us putting the chlorine in. We got positive on coliform for iron.
Calling that the same thing, Jennifer, or is it, those can be two different things?
Well, and I did bring some extra brochures for everyone to keep it simple. But essentially, Sam had called me with hits for coliform. Well, they came back positive for bacteria in the wells. And to run my initial gut check was concerned it might be iron bacteria. And I don't know how familiar everyone is with iron bacteria, but iron bacteria is naturally occurring in water. Water is a natural, essentially, it acts, and I can hand these out, but it's a solvent. And so we see iron bacteria in our water all the time, it's called red water. And what happens though is over time it tends to build up and creates a film and a slime, and it basically creates an environment and it attacks iron, which is naturally occurring in your water too, and it creates an environment for bacteria, bad bacteria, coliforms and things like that to start growing on if it goes untreated, and it can occur with time. And so essentially that's what happened is we did confirm that there's existing iron bacteria in the well, and naturally, and with time and not treating your wells as far as with chlorine, not cleaning your wells, you typically should be on a 5-year cycle to go in and clean your wells, acidize and clean the screens out. At any time, if you're introducing any equipment in your well that's not sanitized, you can introduce, again, more of the potential for contaminants. So not knowing exactly what may have happened, but something initiated that iron bacteria to start eating at the metal and create an environment for bad bacteria to grow.
Now, would that then cause it not chlorinating?
While not chlorinating allows for the bad bacteria to keep growing, so it just kind of keeps it at bay. And that's what, and surprise, you guys are one of the few communities that doesn't chlorinate, to be quite honest, and which is, it's a great thing. Because we now know that you are at risk for iron bacteria to continue to keep growing, the best preventative and cost-effective measure you can do is do what Sam's doing.
Is there a better way to control it though?
There's, Sam and I have talked about it, he implements a flushing program. The problem is most of you, with iron bacteria, it likes iron, which a lot of your pipes are metal pipes, the most preventative measure is to have plastic pipe in your entire system, because that has nothing to adhere to. And which you guys don't have. So you have cast iron pipes, you have areas where iron bacteria can adhere and grow, and then create these little dark environments to allow for bad bacteria to culminate. But Sam and I talked about it, what they did is they initially shocked their well, while he was gone on vacation, and that killed it. Well, it's still there, and it'll grow again, but that did cause the results to come back negative.
How often would we have to shock it?
You know, every community's different. You guys have pretty aggressive growth from the samples, because we sent it to a lab in Traverse City, and they confirmed the colonies are pretty high. It's at, I think it was 35,000,
I think that's what it was.
which is pretty high, but with the moderate dosage of chlorine that you're introducing, that's obviously been keeping it at bay, because you've been having negative results. But you could discontinue doing that, and then, and get on a frequency of probably quarterly. It could be once a year, it's hard to say, to try it, but what I would suggest is going and acidizing and scrubbing out your screens, because we know it's coming from the well. And so going in, shocking that well, scrubbing out the screens to make sure we get all that slime off of there, all the iron bacteria out of there, and then it'll populate again and come back, but, you know, you could continue doing that on a routine basis too.
And Jennifer, as it gets warmer, the chlorine residual will have to keep higher, like up to 1 ppm or?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
Okay.
you've been maintaining it at 0.3, as long as you have a residual.
0.3, yep. 0.3 on the free and 0.4 on the total.
So as long as he's continuing to get a residual, it's not, yeah, so you're only getting 0.1 eaten up.
Correct.
So as long as Sam is still getting a residual back, that's good,
Right.
because it's not getting consumed by the iron bacteria.
So that tells me there's like 0.3 still out there that is available to go through and
Right, be
destroy
eaten
it.
up, right, being oxidized by the iron.
But I'd almost guarantee if we take that chlorine out, we're gonna go right back into bad,
Yeah,
positive, not bad samples, I shouldn't say bad, because they're not bad.
A
Like
risk.
Jennifer said, it's iron, it's in the water, that's
it's
part
there,
of
it's
it.
a risk. So I'm happy to share this, this was one of the simplest versions I could find from Wisconsin, had it on their website, but
I'm telling you, I was texting Jennifer when I was in Vegas, that's how bad this bothered me.
it's not anything for anybody to be concerned about, it's just when you continue to let it sit and adhere to things and not do anything about it. But it is naturally occurring in all of our wells. And,
Based on what I'm hearing, I think we'll just keep going with the same program. Anything else, Sam?
Larry got me permission to buy more LED lights at the shop, and they are all up at the shop now. We added one at the camping park in the back room for Lyle. The tobacco-free signs that Rob got, the board approved, they are all up between all of our public properties, all of our parks, let me rephrase that. Thurston Park, the Day Park, and the softball field in the basketball courts, and tennis courts. That's where I ended up distributing all the signs to. Any questions? You gonna bring up truck, or do you want me to?
Yep, go ahead.
I know I come to Larry a while ago talking about a new truck. What I did is my truck started to show some rust on it, and they quoted me $3,000 to repair the rust that's on that pickup. It's a 2014, it was purchased in 2013. Got 68,000 miles on it. If we're gonna sell it, now's the time to sell it and purchase a new one. Because as it goes on, the value is gonna start decreasing a whole lot per calendar year at this point. Bill has a quote on a new one there, and the new one is without a plow.
This is 26,149. And only one thing I've seen that maybe you'd want to add to it is dual batteries.
And then I'm not sure if that quote even has the remote start on it too, Bill. I kind of went over that. I called Bill Campbell, and Bill Campbell said, you find out, call me back at this point, then we'll get it in stone on the figures. It's a rough figure is what Bill has.
The dual batteries, to add that is $210, and that's about the cost of the battery, so.
Yep, yeah, and I agree with that.
and comes with them, otherwise you gotta buy them out.
Because I didn't get it on this one, and I wish I would've had dual batteries.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I'd like to suggest to the council that we do replace it now, while the truck he's got is still worth something. And we went through this a few years ago, and the only reason we didn't replace it last year was Sam wanted to, he said it's working fine, let's keep it another year. And, I can understand that, but it's time now to make a decision to do something with
What's the
it
truck worth?
before something breaks and add in the body work. We can sell it as is, and
What's it worth as it's right now?
I'm not sure, I guess.
I'm thinking around 15 with the plow.
I would think so.
I mean, it's a
Yeah,
3/4 ton, it's under 70,000 miles.
Yeah, it's
It's a city truck that's been, the maintenance has been, well kept up on it.
right there, so. I shouldn't think we'd have any trouble selling it for 50.
And then that may not have the electronic four-wheel drive on it either, Bill, I don't
It does
remember.
electronic locking differential.
Oh, it does have electronic one? Okay, yeah.
What's that price, Bill?
So
26,149.
so that price could go up or down
That's
some
a
dollars.
estimate, right?
Right, yeah, yeah.
It's gonna be pretty close to the ballpark there. And like I said, it'd be $210 added to that. For the dual batteries.
I suggest we put it under action items in the next meeting. So we'll make a decision next month.
All right, and we'll get a price confirmed by then.
Pardon?
Do you need a plow on the new truck, or do you not plow that much?
No, I would put a plow
Oh,
on.
yeah.
The new truck, I think we paid 52 for the plow last time.
Yeah.
And I can't think the prices went up very much on that.
We're 70, 72, 74 retail.
We get almost $3,000 off the installed price of a new plow.
So you wanna put this on next month
For an action item.
action
Yeah.
item?
Well, let's talk about the equipment fund first. 661 here, you've got $75,000 in it. So now, 75,000, and what's the truck cost?
28.
28.
We gotta throw another 55 on it to be safe for the plow.
26 plus 5, so 30.
31.
31.
So what are we getting the new, we could sell the old truck for?
15.
With the plow.
16.
Yeah.
That's 16,000.
Yeah. So our equipment fund would be, oh, what about the plow?
Well, that's-
Just
Yeah,
threw
it's
that on.
down to 31.
That's on the 31.
Yeah.
So our equipment fund would be down to $59,000. Do we have anything coming in that we need? $59,000.
We talked about it, he doesn't think there's anything that we would need before
Okay.
before it would be.
Outside of a lawnmower,
Yeah.
a smaller purchase equipment. You know, the two plow trucks are new enough. The loader's brand new, basically, it's got 500 hours on it. The backhoe's a 1990, quote you, grant you, it's a little bit older, but it's only got 3,100 hours on it, because it doesn't get used much. So the backhoe's another 20-year piece of machinery. The water truck's a 20-year truck, and it's only 2 years old. That's about the oldest piece of equipment we have in the fleet that we use now.
And it gets used the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's used year round.
And our revenue over expenditures for the equipment fund 661 is $14,370 a year. So if we don't buy anything out of this equipment fund, we have it paid for in 2 years, not even touching the $59,000. We got 28 called a year, I think 2.5, just FYI.
I think that's good way to relate to it.
We'll firm up our numbers in the next month and make a decision.
Thank you.
Goes back into one all.
Anything else for Sam?
No, thank you, sir.
Sam, you're gonna go ahead and get that.
I'll get you fixed numbers.
Get a price fixed.
Yes, sir.
Kyle's not here tonight, so We'll move on. Correspondence, the only thing I had was the chamber auction dinner Saturday night, so that starts at 5, I believe. Is that right? Committee reports, Lyle,
No, Sam's pretty well covered it all.
Leila,
Yeah, we covered it all.
law enforcement,
No, I think Chief covered everything.
Matt, Brian, finance.
I got a lot of stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Next week, Rachel starts her summer hours. She will be working Monday through Thursday from 8 to 4. Rachel graduates this Friday. Congratulations.
Congratulations, good job, thank you.
And the personnel committee, we've had a few meetings this month, a few informal meetings this month, so I'll have,
I thought I shut down, I'm sorry.
I'll have more to talk about next month. That's all I have, thank you.
Rob Parks,
Campground is open and it's up and running. That's it.
signs are up, say no smoking.
Yep, signs are up.
And my report isn't too long, and some of this will get talked about in more detail, but the planning commission did meet since our last meeting. We had an hour-and-a-half meeting with our village attorney regarding the definition of industrial hemp and what the impact that has on particularly Kelly Young, who was asking for permission to sell her oil that she produces as well as other products from the oil or with the oil. And I guess the bottom line to that is that the attorney left with some more homework to do because of definitions that have changed on the state level. And he said, let's move on this slowly. I tried to push him so we could make a decision tonight, but he said, nope, can't do it. I think ultimately she's gonna be able to sell her CBD oil and other products with that. But what she can't do, from what we determined, because of zoning, is she cannot manufacture any of that at that site, which means that the industrial hemp could not be delivered to her building across from the post office. And from that point, she would manufacture her product and then put it up for retail. Our zoning does not allow that. It's not, because that's a manufacturing process, we only have one designated area in the village as manufacturing, and that's where Armor Express and the storage buildings are on Cameron and Moyer Road. So, I don't know what her thoughts are since that time, but I don't think she was real happy with those conversations that we had that evening. As far as her desire to open a dispensary, that's another issue. She says that she has got all the licenses from the state, which is the first process. But we've also passed an ordinance that says that's not going to be allowed. The next move for her, if she wants to do it, would be to petition the public and ultimately bring it to a public vote. In which case, then if the public said, yes, we would like her to open up a dispensary in the village, then we would have to adhere to the vote. So at this point in time, that's where things stand. She's not here tonight, so my guess is that she's waiting on the attorney's work and will respond after that. So the council has received 2 different sheets of logos. We will discuss those towards the end of our meeting like we did last time. These are revised based on our comments from last meeting, and we'll discuss those further down the road. We have one resident, Mr. James Schmidt, who lives at 8101 Davis Street, who continues to FOIA information from us, particularly regarding Chief Barrett. And from our perspective, it's getting to be rather cumbersome to respond to all of his requests. So I have asked the attorney to write him a letter based on our policy and state law with respect to FOIAs. And hopefully we will be able to put a stop to what, from my perspective, is basically harassment. So I wanted to make sure that you all are aware of that somewhere down the road, if he chooses to file suit against us, we may have to go to court. But I would love to have an attorney or a judge sit and listen to our side of things as opposed to his side of things. And I think a reasonable judge would rule in our favor, so.
Are we charging him for our time and materials?
Yes, but he claims indigency and he can't afford any of it, so he is not paid anything. That's what this letter that's coming to him will spell out specifically. It will also solidify our procedures, and we should be able to move forward with a little more authority. So. I authorized the purchase of 2 more benches for the boardwalk. Gordy Frazier's provided one for us last year. And I met with 2 of the park committee to look at a launch site for our canoes and kayaks, and we decided that we could use 2 more benches down there, so I told Sam to go ahead and order them. If somebody has a problem with that, I guess let me know. Rachel, since last meeting, Scott received a new printer, scanner in his office. Rachel was asked by the company in Traverse City, who supplies both of their copy machines, that she could get a brand new one, and it would cost us $25 less a month. So we made an executive decision on that, and she got a new printer, and it seems to be working well. Both of them have a maintenance contract on them, so which supplies the ink and all the maintenance and repairs that could occur down the road. So we lease them essentially, rather than, well, I think, Scott, we purchased yours.
Correct.
Yeah, we're leasing Rachel's, and it seems to be working well. We're saving a few bucks, and I think that's a good thing. And Jennifer's going to talk about these 2 on my list. DDA, there was no meeting this past month. And I asked Sam to get us some figures from our waste receiving folks, American Standard and Waste Management, and I'm proposing to the council, we can make a decision next month. But we have not had a fall or spring cleanup for several years, at least 5. Because we haven't had one since I've been back in 2014. So I would propose that we pursue that. It would cost $55 per cubic yard. Sam estimated it'd be about 250 cubic yards, which would be 13,750. He only received, American Standard was the only one that responded to him. They have 3 openings, 1 the end of September and 2 early part of October. So we will discuss that further in June, and I would like to see us do it. And it's not going to be a yearly thing. I think if we did it even every 4 or 5 or 6 years, but it would give our residents a chance to clean up some things that have been sitting for a while, and to help everybody look better. So,
Sam, did you call the gentleman from Bel Air Revolution
Brian, no, and
He's the guy that does Forest Hometown.
let me explain why. Because if we do if we do a parking pack, and you take 250 cubic yards of compacted material within a 6-hour time frame, you're gonna have to have a minimum of 6 trucks.
He does.
So quantity at that point is why I went to the 2 big major companies, American Waste and Waste Management.
Sure.
And Waste Management is you have to call me back.
America's got a large trailer that comes with a compactor trailer that, like they have up at the township.
Yeah.
They can bring it all to one load.
We addressed this in 2016, and I found all my notes. Do you want to talk about it in June, or you want me to start now?
Summarize.
Summarize. Preferred waste, $45 a yard with manpower, 40 without manpower.
They're no longer
Preferred
in
waste
business.
got bought out by American Waste.
Yeah, well, I'm reading my notes. Waste management, 20-yard bin, 8,000 pounds, 740 plus $30 a ton, over 4 tons. Revolution, 40 yards with manpower, park and pack. Curbside, $55 a yard. Tires are at $3. And keeping in mind, let's see here, we have 430 residents, 450 parcels of property in the village. So take that money, that 13,000, divide it into the number of people we have. Are we really gonna be, what are we gonna be doing with that? Where it seems like we're gonna have a lot of time. Is each individual gonna get their money out of it? Or are we better off giving vouchers to the people just to go to the waste receiving station? That's where we were a couple of years ago. Because they could just go to the waste receiving station with vouchers, and then we could pay out from the township, whatever people brought stuff in. Let's see, 2016, we are concerned with people outside the village using a village driver's license, bringing stuff in the village. People complain about things not being picked up, things like that. And so those are all things to keep in mind.
Very good points, and that gives us food for thought in the next 30 days, and we'll narrow it down. We'll have 3 points. And that's all I have, except for what's already on the agenda, so there'll be some more discussion. We'll move on to, anybody have any questions for me? Okay, we'll approve the bills. Prepaids of $46,551.60. Payroll was $6,987.20, payables of $13,479.15 for a total of $67,017.95.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills as presented. Support.
Been moved and supported. Roll call.
Chapman?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Loveless?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Bergen?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yep.
Eckert?
Yes. New business. Discuss leaf disposal. Our practice has been for a while, since at least 2013, I think, as near as I can figure, that any property owner in the village could dispose of their yard waste at the village garage, and they would pick it up from that point and take it to a site where they can get rid of it. I've had, and that meant that the property owner had to do it. And commercial operations were not allowed to do that. From my perspective, I think we're not servicing our public appropriately if in fact we want everybody to take care of their property, then they ought to have a place to be able to put their waste. But we also have several senior citizens amongst our communities who cannot do the yard work, and they should be able to hire somebody, and they should be able to dispose of it like everybody else. My solution to this is we somehow have to keep a handle on it so not everybody from everywhere is bringing in waste, yard waste. So my solution that I think would work, it would be up to the commercial operations to have the property owner in the village make the phone call and say, we have hired so-and-so to pick up our yard waste. And would you allow them to bring that to our collection site, wherever that may be? And by doing that, we are assured that they're coming from the village and we're only handling village yard waste from inside the village limits. I'd like everybody else's thoughts, but I think we need to service our public a little bit better than what we are doing. And that to me is one way of doing it. So, other communities are taking their waste regardless of whether it came from the property owner direct or through a third party picking it up for them. So, I think we gotta figure out a way to somehow get the public the avenue to do that, so.
Who would they call?
Rachel or the DPW office, either one. Rachel will get a hold of Sam, I would imagine.
And is there any certain hours that they have to call? I mean, I'm one of them, let's face it. I have people doing work for me that I can't do. And it's not always on a Saturday or
Well,
Tuesday.
right now, the collection site is not locked, so they can dump it off at any point in time. If you know you're gonna have somebody hired, it's gonna take an education process as far as the property owners are concerned, the way I see it. But if you know that you're gonna hire somebody for Friday and they're coming in, you got however far in advance that you make that arrangement, then to get a phone call to say, on such and such a date, they're gonna pick up my yard waste, and would you please allow them to dispose of it wherever the collection site is determined.
Why I have several people ask me, why are we not using our dump site right across the road down there?
We were my understanding, and I'm still investigating, we cannot find the letter that terminated our operations there from the DEQ. But they're the ones that shut us down.
What was their reason for shutting us down?
That's a good question, and I can't
That's what I
answer
keep,
that.
and I said, I don't know, I have to ask you these questions.
That's not a problem, you can ask them, I don't necessarily have the answers. I've tried to call DEQ, the head of the operations, his name is Aaron Hyde in Lansing. After I called the DEQ office in Gaylord, I was recommended I call him. He's got an email or a voicemail that's full, so, and he doesn't answer his phone, so he's got a pretty good job.
I got a question, if the township takes the lease, and you can take them up there, how come we can't have the people make arrangements to take them up there and with whoever's doing it? And even if the township was in charge, you know, the residents of the village are also township taxpayers.
I think the trouble we've got with that is they're only open Tuesday and Saturday.
Yeah.
If a lawn person gets their truck full on a Wednesday, then they gotta sit there until Saturday.
Well, if they want to,
There you go.
they ought to make it Tuesday or Saturday.
But they can't always do it that way. I mean, that doesn't work that way.
I understand that, and right now, they're taking them wherever they take them, not to us or the dump, so.
You know, I'm under the impression that the township will not take commercial either. That's the problem we're having.
Well, it would be from, you know, we'd have to make arrangements with them that it's not coming from Oak Rapids, it's coming from.
No, but I think the township has a policy, or at least,
No commercial,
no commercial dumping either, so that's the problem we're running into. That's, you know, so I can't go up to the township, obviously there's somebody watching them, so they just can't arbitrarily dump it. The problem we had the other day was somebody dumping it, they got kind of found out, I guess, and that was, at the point, was the policy that we have too, or at least the understanding we have.
We'd have to make an agreement with them, but
I don't think we have a policy, we have a practice.
I would agree, yes.
But it may require us to develop a policy.
But before you, I mean, you'd have to answer that question with the township, because I'm gonna assume that they had a policy or procedure that prohibits it too, so.
we'd have to explore it, but I don't know why we couldn't make arrangements with them.
But I'd still like to have people, and when they ask me, why can't we dump this one? I want to know why, and they're gonna want to know why, and I can't give them an honest thing. But you're on the council, why don't you know? And that's what, so I said, okay, I'll have to bring it up to the council. Why can we not dump in this stuff that we have here?
There is a DEQ website that goes very in-depth with all of this. They have a flow chart that says such and such yard clippings management options. I haven't sorted through all of that as it relates to us. One question I have is, do we have more than 200 cubic yards of waste in a year?
At one time we did, and that happened to been the time we got caught.
Okay. Because if we didn't, then we can
Correct.
operate. So I don't know how you measure 200 yards of cubic yards of yard.
Weight times width times height, that's how they figure it, like that's.
So,
So it can be open until you reach that and then close it.
that's.
And then we're back to the
Then
same.
you're right back in the same thing we're in. And the problem is, if you leave it unopened, you don't have nobody, you don't have no security.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, all of a sudden you got the guy's tarp that got ripped in it.
You got
Now it's no
vinyl
longer,
siding, you got
now it's no
shingles,
longer considered a compost pile.
You
No,
at
got
that
cement
point,
blocks.
When that DNR, or when that DEQ official showed up, that's what happened. We had a brush pile that had shingles thrown in it. You're gonna burn it, so who cares?
Right.
The DEQ official cares.
And I understand the issue, and that's why I'm proposing that the homeowner says, I call the office and say, I'm hiring so-and-so to pick up yard waste only, and please allow them to dispose of it wherever our site is. If we get to the 200 cubic, then the DEQ gets involved. I still want to talk with the DEQ guy about it. So I'm throwing this out under new business. We'll have a month to think about things, and I'd like your input down the road.
What do other lawn care services do? I mean, where do they, I mean,
My
I see
understanding-
Green Side Up and all these other ones, and
My understanding that Bel Air doesn't have any issue, El Trappist doesn't have any issue with it, it's only us.
with commercial.
With commercial, with commercial.
Does Bel Air have
But
a
what
dump
is
site?
commercial? That's there. You talk about people who come into our community and do our work for us. Are they commercial?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if it's
Sure.
a contract.
But as
They're
long as
hired,
they,
but then-
as long as they have a contract with the village resident, then it's okay. But if they're bringing it in from somebody that lives out on,
Which I understand, and that's.
That's the trouble we had before.
right.
Yeah.
Bringing it in from out of
And
town.
that's what Larry's trying to say, that if a village, like yourself, or who hires somebody to bring it in, if you call down to the village and say, hey, so-and-so's working for me, they're gonna be bringing some brush and whatever down there, then they know, the village knows that it's been approved by you as a resident, that this person brings it in.
Can you have a homeowner call and get a voucher that they would give to their commercial person, who would then bring the voucher to with their weeds when they're dropping them off?
That's not a bad idea.
Should we be somebody manning the dump site?
Well, based on where it is right now, I don't think, if they're gonna dump it during the day, they're gonna get caught by DPW. So if they're doing it at night or weekends, they may or may not get caught, but
That you can't control.
that you can't control.
Unfortunately, I have it locked up right now, and go down and look at the little dinky brush pile we got. Somebody threw a bunch of plastic bags in the brush pile, and it's locked.
And then we're gonna have to
They
pay
drove
more money to
through
get
the
it out.
part, that we have for the four-wheelers and the snowmobiles to get to the BP station. Now unlock it and see what's gonna happen. That's reality, that's reality. As long, Bel Air has theirs inside a chain link fence where they have control of it. We don't have control of ours. When the DPW leaves, they lock their gate, that's the end of it.
And unfortunately, that trail goes right by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
You know, it's not, I understand everybody, but I don't know what the solution is.
So Brian, you said, I'm gonna use your words, and when the truck is full, what do they do? So here I'm a kid, and I know this person only has 1 yard of waste. I got a 10-yard truck that's full. Do you think he's gonna measure out 1 yard? Is he dumping the whole thing? And he's gone. In a perfect world, that would be wonderful. But I think these lawn care services have to build in their billing policy to find places to get rid of their waste. If that were the case, then I want Blooms to pump my septic tank, come over to the dump site in town where the campers are, dump it there. I mean, it's unfortunate to be that way, but it's just the way our society is. You can't trust anybody. I see it goes on, and then I'll go on to the next point. There's a person in town who's a logger and tree trimmer. If he starts doing only things, and he only does things in town, he'll have 20, 40 yards in 2 days. And I mean, I think we have to go back and put it on the back of the lawn service companies to say, the onus is on you to find it, the answer. Unfortunately, that's just the way it has to be. Nobody wants compost, people don't compost it correctly. It's considered a toxin over time. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Well, I think we need to somehow figure out how we can serve our public a little better in this area, so.
I agree 110%. I'd like to see people pull up with a trailer, make arrangements.
I mean,
I have no problem with that, but I'm gonna guarantee you, when a commercial company calls in, the next day, we'll have anything from a dead body in there to asphalt shingles.
And that's what the homeowner has to verify with their contractor, how much they're bringing in. So like say Joe Blow doesn't go down and get 1 yard from a resident and then go out outside the village and get 10 more yards, and bring it in. You're not gonna stop all that 100%. I mean, unfortunately, without sitting down there and monitoring and having cameras and everything else. But, we gotta control it a little bit, and I think the phone calls or the vouchers is one way to help minimize.
Right now, what I do is I tell all village residents, you're more than welcome to bring your leaves, your grass clippings down to the village garage, dump them off. I have, as you see, I got a pile going right now at the shop. We get a rain day, we'll go in, we'll clean them up, we'll scoop them up, haul them up, spread them out. But I can't handle the commercial guys because they throw the tree limbs in, they throw the tarps in, it doesn't stop. And I didn't think we had a problem.
And that's where we have a problem with the commercial guys, because they get a little carried away, but like we said, that not everybody can do it themselves, they have to hire commercials.
And we should not be subsidizing these commercial companies. Let them figure it out. They decided to do a contract, that's their problem.
Mike Clinton told me
And the thing
Carnelli, I
is-
can go on and on for people that call me at the shop and say, hey, can I bring my grass clippings, my leaves down? Yep, bring them down, throw them off right there. It's not an issue with them.
And if they
It's
get
only
caught,
an issue with the commercial people.
but if they get caught leaving tarps or bringing other objects in, then they will be banned permanently.
But who's
But
that?
our current practice, though, is that the elderly can't do it themselves.
Right.
They have to hire it done.
Which I understand.
Should have
And-
that
and-
price.
Then we're discriminating against the elderly who can't do their own work.
No,
No,
we
no, no.
can't discriminate.
Discriminate against the
But-
company they hire has to
But
have to have a disposal form otherwise.
controlling the commercial contractors,
But-
we're having a problem.
I got an $89 oil change the other day and got a free car wash with it. How free do you think it was? Same thing.
Well, I'd bring it up, give it another 30 days, and we're gonna have another discussion about it. I understand all the issues all I'm trying to do is to give a significant number of our residents an opportunity to get their yards cleaned up and have someplace to take it.
See, so I have a commercial line.
Where they do in other areas, they have to pay to get rid of it, or they have their own disposal.
I don't know.
Supposedly, we're the only community that has the big issue with it. Everybody else is willing to accept whatever they.
Well, like Sanford, Bel Air, has their gates.
They can control it.
Right.
Fence goes in.
Just build a fence.
Well, it was fenced in, but then they end up dumping outside the fence.
Dump it outside.
You can't win
Camera.
on this one.
Cameras is another way.
Really?
So, anyway, we're gonna move on, but think about it. Signage agreement with Paddle Antrim, that's a new business item.
It's new business.
Idea.
Hi there, how are you?
Hey.
So,
Yeah, 1 minute.
I am, 1 minute. Now. So for those, I am Dina Jardy, I'm the executive director of Paddle Antrim. Our mission is to protect the water rights by connecting people through paddling. You've seen me here before. We do the festival in September. This will be our 5th year. We will be requesting to be able to use Thurston Park again and have Sam put up the sign for us. But tonight, what I wanted to talk to you about was the water trail. So the water trail, the aquatic equivalent of a hiking trail. So there are trailheads that talk about, you know, hey, this is where you go. This is how many miles it is to the next rest stop. This is a great beginner spot. This is a great spot to, you know, stop and get ice cream. It provides all that information. And so we've talked about this before. And so that, since we were here last, I was here last, you guys approved Thurston Park to be included. We now have 17 jurisdictions who have approved access sites. So thank you guys for being one of them, because without all of you, the system doesn't work. We have 81 access sites, so over 80 miles of trail from starting at 6 Mile Lake, the DNR, all the way to Elk Rapids. So pretty excited about where we're at. We developed the water trail plan with input from obviously the stakeholders, our chambers, the lake associations and everyone. And so we kind of identified what our needs were. One of the main needs was design and installation of signs so people know where they are, where the access sites are that they can get off from, as well as developing a waterproof guide for when people are out on the water, and then ultimately marketing so people actually know to come here and use the trail. So that's kind of what we've been working on. In 2018, we designed our signs. We got some funding, and I know I sent it over to make sure it fit with your zoning and everything like that. We got approval from all 17 jurisdictions that it goes, which was awesome. And so now we're at the next phase of raising money so we can do the next phase, which is the installation, the development of a paddler's guide, and market the water trail so it's truly open. You know, in our mind, that while we have the routes, we have the information, the state has recognized the progress we've made, and we've become one of 8 state designated water trails in the state, the only one up north. We still, I don't feel, can open it until we have those other things. So we've raised about 40% of the money we need to do the next step. But I'm coming back to all the jurisdictions now to talk about what that means, what it looks like. And so you'll have a sign agreement that was in front of you that talked about our role and your role. And so essentially, Paddle Antrim is committed to designing the signs, fabricating the signs, and installing the signs. I was out and talked with Rob and Sam about where we could place the signs as well. We would like to include a sign sponsor on the sign kiosk because we realize that we're taking ownership of the sign and the water trail. It's going to have future costs in the future, and that's one way of us being able to recoup costs to continue to maintain the water trail in the future. But so with that, if you didn't get a copy, so what for Thurston Park, we consider Thurston Park one of our trailheads. I'll be honest, I think between Ellsworth and you guys is going to be the most used part of the water trail because it's the beginner spot. It's one of my favorite spots, and you have 2 communities on each end that makes her an ideal paddling community. So we want to sign Thurston Park from MDOT using kind of traditional brown signs so people know where the trail starts. So they know where we want them to either get on or get off. At the water's edge, so if you want to just have those. At the water's edge, we have a sign that'll be at all 81 access sites. So people know when they're paddling in where they're supposed to get off. So they know they don't end up on the neighbor's property, they end up in the right spot. And so I saw the spot, Larry, that you guys had wanted to put it, and that's right with me. So that would be the sign that would be near the water's edge, so people would know where exactly you want them to get off. I think it's on the back. There we go. And then also for trailheads for places like Thurston Park where we want people to come, we have developed a kiosk that will have one side that'll have the information about the trail, where the access sites are, where the bathrooms are, and on the other side, we have space so we can put panels on there. And so that's where the sign sponsorship would go. That's where a map of downtown Central Lake would go that identify businesses, and there's some other, areas where we can put other stewardship, safety, and other kind of information there as well. So I know you got that side too. So you guys want to pass that along. So those are kind of the design that we've been working on. So I am here tonight to request your review of the sign agreement for that purpose. As we are raising money, I will say on a separate note, but related, we've raised about 40%. We are going to other funders. We're trying to raise the rest of it. We are getting funders asking us, saying, great, you have 17 partners. What financial commitment are the other 17 partners giving? We realize that between all 17 of you, you're very different. Some of you have one access site, some of you have 17, some of you have smaller tax bases and larger tax bases, so we aren't asking for a specific dollar amount from any jurisdiction. So far, you're actually the fourth village that I've come to. So Ellsworth, Bel Air, and Elk Rapids have committed $1,000 from their Parks and Recs budget toward the signs that are going in on their properties. But you know what I mean, it's all over the map on what so we're not asking for a dollar amount. We would like to see some kind of financial contribution to show that when we go to the funders that all of the jurisdictions have some skin in the game essentially as well. Separate from the agreement is obviously the most important thing, is being able to use your access site for the water trail. Questions on
My only question is on this back page here in Exhibit B. It says on there Thurston Park boat launch.
So, yep.
No, is that the?
Originally, that's where we were going to do it, and up until, I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
Couple weeks ago.
And so the recommendation last is near the cedar tree just south of where the swimming beach is.
Yeah,
So I'm good with that. I just had already had that in the process and it was coming to you in
Okay.
the time. So, yep,
Anybody else have any
Thank
questions?
you.
yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? Do you need a commitment on this tonight?
We'll wait until next month if that
That's
works
what
better for
we're
your
gonna-
process.
Next month's gonna be busy, so
If you would like to act on it tonight, great. If you want to wait till next month, obviously.
we could have a motion to move it into action items and approve it if the council's so inclined, or we can wait to put it under action items for next month.
I'll make a motion to put it in tonight's action items.
Been moved and supported to move signage agreement with Paddle Antrim from new business to action item C. Any further discussion?
Are you looking for village sponsorship or participating businesses or?
To be honest, it can come from anything. So Elk Rapids wanted to give more than $1,000, but that's all Parks and Rec had. So they went out to the DDA to see if they could provide some additional funds to help support the process as well. So we will look for, we are definitely looking for other opportunities as well.
We have a motion on the floor to move the agreement to action items. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion has carried. And we still have another new business item, so we're gonna have to hold off before we vote. So, sewer rates,